Welcome back. Now on to the task force. We will be using every single type of ship, all the different roles that they perform, and try and put them all in action at the same time. So it gets a bit more tricky when you're using ships that are specifically designed for a certain role. You can't just do one thing and expect it all to work out. But what you can do to make life easier is set a battle line with each one of the ships in order of what you want to use them for. So the destroyer will be the person making the first engagement. So he'll be going in, firing off all of his initial torpedoes and then fleeing. So he'll be at the back of the battle line. I'll explain why it's the back later during the battle. Then the light cruiser will be, the heavy cruiser will be the next one in. He'll be the screening ship, which will be trying to destroy all the enemy light ships. So destroyer first, blanket firing the big ships. Heavy cruiser second, trying to destroy the light ships. And then light cruiser third, trying to sink the battleships that have hopefully been damaged by the initial destroyer volley. And then if them three still haven't done the job, you'll finish the job off with the battle cruiser. Obviously all the way during this, the battle cruiser and the battleship will be bombarding the enemy big ships. Okay, so that's the plan. Let's see if we can put it into action. Okay, so we're going to want the battleship at the front, because he's going to be the last one to engage. Battle cruiser behind. The light cruiser is going to be the third one to engage. Heavy cruiser is going to be the second one to engage, and then you're going to be doing your initial engagement with the destroyer. So your battle line is going to go one way, and your destroyer, your initial engagement, is going to go the other way. That way, when the enemy fire off their torpedoes at your first initial encounter ship, they're not going to be heading towards your battle line. So if I approach from this direction, they'd be firing at me. They'd be heading towards the battle line, which is obviously bad news. So instead, you approach from the opposite direction to where your battle line is going to be going. So obviously with this destroyer, I want to target their biggest ship, which is this one. and I want to try and get them to waste all their torpedoes shooting at me. So it looks like that's the heavy cruiser. You can tell when there's different size ships which ship it is. So if I wanted, I could fire off some torpedoes at these as I'm approaching, if I don't think I'm going to make it to the battleship. So, for example here, targeting this heavy cruiser might not be such a bad idea. So I'll get myself into position to attack him, and then I'll switch my aim to the heavy cruiser now, fire off a volley towards him, and then switch back to the battleship, which is the intended target. So there we go, it looks like I might sink that one. Now if I wanted, I could do the same thing here with the destroyer. So it looks like he's getting in a position where I might easily be able to sink him, so I will do the same thing if I can. There we go, looks like I might have just taken out 2 of their ships immediately. And then I've got 1 load of torpedoes left that I can fire at the enemy battleship if I want. Looks like that destroyer might actually survive. So because I've got both of my engines crippled, it's unlikely I'm going to make it that far. So I might just blanket fire towards the enemy destroyer. And then I'll just retreat with that ship. Okay, now on to the next one, which is going to be the heavy cruiser. So the heavy cruiser's job now is to go and finish off the smaller ships. The destroyer still hasn't fired off his torpedoes. There we go. Sometimes if you just change direction, they fire them. I have no idea why. Okay, so again, you want to approach from the direction that isn't towards your battle line, so they don't shoot their torpedoes towards your battle line. So the good thing with engaging with the destroyer first is, as you can see, they're wasting loads of torpedoes trying to take it out. And if you lose a destroyer, you're not losing much cash or tonnage or crew or anything really. 15 million, 163 crew is nothing really, so it's an acceptable loss. Which I don't think the 163 crew would agree, but it's a good job it's only a game. Okay, so now with your bombarding ships, you can send them in a direction where they can get all of their guns firing, which I reckon is probably around there. we've got some torpedoes coming in. I forgot to turn the torpedoes off with my heavy cruiser, so I am actually firing a volley that I didn't want to, but it's not a big issue. So now I'm just using this heavy cruiser to take out the smaller ships, so I've got a nice clear run to the big ships with my light cruiser. Once all the torpedo threats are dealt with, then I've got a nice safe path. I can bring the light cruiser in, just set him to follow the heavy cruiser, team up against the big ships. Now, I don't want to get too close to this destroyer because I know he has got some more torpedoes left. Yeah, as you can see, I haven't been firing my guns because I've been doing short manoeuvres, so getting the turret traversal isn't such a bad thing for these screening ships, but it's not completely necessary because, as you can see, it turns relatively quickly. So if you've got the spare tonnage, then by all means buy the first upgrade for turret traversal, but it doesn't make much difference, so definitely don't strip armour off to be able to afford the turret traversal. Okay, he's now out of torpedoes. I can now get my light cruiser to join in. The battle cruiser hasn't got torpedoes and the battleship hasn't got torpedoes, so if I wanted, I could also get my battle cruiser to join in as well. And then I've just got my battleship just bombarding still, which is its only role in the battle. If I want, I can just send these directly towards the enemy. If you hold down control when you click the right button, it sets them to not go in a follow mode, so they're all individual then. If you right click, it'll put them in follow mode. If you hold control and right click, it tells them to go there individually. So now, as you can see, we're now doing the exact thing that we did in the individual encounters where I used each ship individually. You can see the battleship's doing the exact same thing as it was doing before. The battle cruiser was doing the exact same thing, and now it's heading towards the enemy, which is what it did originally in the two examples. The light cruiser's now taking its first role in the battle, which is its torpedo threat on the big ships. The heavy cruiser's already done its screening duty, taking out the small ships. It didn't actually need to take out as many as it normally would, because the destroyer took out the heavy cruiser for it, and it also severely crippled the enemy destroyer. So everything's gone almost exactly as it did in the individual battles, apart from the destroyer, which, because of the circumstances, I switched its role from a pot shot to a close-in torpedo attack, and that's just simply because the enemy sailed so close towards me. So now all I'm doing is changing all of their roles to torpedo attack now, the cruisers that is. So the battle cruiser's got 30 knots, and the light cruiser's got 35, so the light cruiser will reach the enemy before the battle cruiser does, which is good. If at any point the ships that are getting shot at lose the speed to the point that they can't catch up, you can just turn them away and fire all of their torpedoes off and just use them as a blanket fire. For now, I am still catching up with them fairly quickly, so I will try and go in for a decisive strike. Just make sure all of my other ships are doing what they should be doing. It appears as if he's out of range now, so I can send him that way. So I've taken very little damage. I've only lost the destroyer and taken about 33% damage on my heavy cruiser. And I've taken out a heavy cruiser and a light cruiser and a destroyer. Okay, so now I'm at a position where I might want to fire off my first load of torpedoes. So there's the first load off. I've got 2 sets on each side. So because he's turning to the right side, I'm going to turn the same way. Fire off the sets on that side and then go back and use the remaining set on my other side. I didn't necessarily have to shoot this early. This was just to slow them down so my light cruiser can finish them off. So I've managed to get a few hits on them. My light cruiser is firing a few shots off from distance because I forgot to tell him to hold fire, but that's not important. He's still got plenty of torpedoes left on his boat. He doesn't seem to want to fire his remaining launcher off, which is a shame. There we go. Took out all 5 of their ships with very little casualties. 313 crew and maybe 40% damage on my armoured cruiser. Okay, that's how you use a task fleet. Hope it's been helpful, maybe taught you a few things. If not, I hope you've enjoyed it anyway. Alright, take care guys, see you soon.